Welcome to week number 2 of the high school football season. I'm Rod Smith along with sports reporter Josh Kurlak, who joins me for our KRCG 13 Football Friday Night Preview. The buses, they'll be leaving Columbia and Jefferson City heading towards St. Louis this week. And Josh, you certainly know the way down I-70, don't you?
I sure do. It's actually a nice drive, but yeah, I've been there several times for Football Friday Night, and actually my very first one is on I-70 going east, so that's kind of a memorable trip for me.
There you go. And this past week, the Jeff City Jays, well, they were in St. Louis and they're traveling east again for a second straight week. The Jays beat up on McClure North last Friday night, 47-0, beating the Stars for the 10th consecutive year. The competition, though, gets a whole lot tougher this week as the Jays will face the defending Class 6 state champions from Kirkwood. And Josh, you did watch the Jays' opening win last week in Florissant, and your thoughts? They led 41-0 at halftime, 47-zip final. Pretty dominating?
They did. They looked good. You know, I know there's some questions offensively with new quarterback stepping in, Devin Roberson, and some other new pieces, but overall they looked good on offense. I was really impressed with the defense too. For the time that I was there, and obviously by the final score, 47-0, Jay's defense didn't give up a whole lot of anything offensively. McClure North really struggled to move the ball.
And again, Kirkwood is a big step up in competition. The Jays will have their work cut out for them this week. 3 other Columbia schools head towards St. Louis this week after the opening the season at home, all 3 of those teams. What an impressive win for the Rockbridge Bruins, upsetting the state's 3rd-ranked Rockhurst Hawklets, a perennial power, 17-14. It was a memorable debut for new head coach Van Venata. You were at the game on Saturday, Josh. Surprising to you?
Yes, and I don't think this is a game that Coach Venata will forget. He's won a lot of high school games, but that's a special one. And it was a little surprising because, you know, 3rd-ranked Rockhurst coming into Columbia. They have dominated Rockbridge in the past. And it was a little combination of Rockhurst not looking as good as they have in the past, but give Rockbridge credit. They played well, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
And they absolutely played well enough to beat a good team. And you know what? They did it on a home field that wasn't really their home field either.
Right. All the things going on, you know, with the construction at Rockbridge. You got a first-year coach and Coach Venata at Rockbridge. You play at Battle High School, and you still find a way to beat the 3rd-best team in the state of Missouri. That's pretty good.
That's pretty impressive. So they head on to DeSmet in St. Louis Friday night, 7 o'clock. And then not far away, the Hickman Cupies will also be in the St. Louis area this week, taking on Webster Groves. They'll play the Statesman. Hickman opening on the home field last week. They lost to Jackson, a very good team out of Southeast Missouri. 39-24 was the final. And Hickman was in this game in the second half. Really not a bad effort for the Cupes and new head coach Trevor Rubley. Yeah, it was a 1-score game in the 3rd quarter. Hickman was behind, but you know, that's certainly nothing to hold their heads about. You know, a 15-point loss to a good Jackson team with a quarterback that's got some offers from some Division I football teams at the college level. And going back to last year, kind of comparing the two games, Hickman lost that game in their opener against Jackson 42-7 a year ago. So that's an improvement. Thing that really hurt them, though, was turnovers. Cupies turned the ball over 5 times. It's tough to win when you do that. Absolutely. Tough loss, but you know, maybe a little enthusiasm and a little optimism there at Columbia Hickman.
Right.
One more Columbia team will travel east this week. The Father Tolton Trailblazers matched with Lutheran St. Charles. Tolton lost what was a wild game, double overtime to South Callaway, 25-19. One of many games that were delayed by lightning. Zach Hess and South Callaway, meanwhile, they are at home this season to open up the season on Friday night, the home season that is, hoping for better weather. It was a crazy week for many teams, including the California Pintos, who played until 12:45 in the morning after some long delays. The Pintos and new head coach Michael Gregg lost to the defending state champions from Monette, 19-6. California will travel to Mexico this week. The Bulldogs came up short to Battle on opening night. Josh, we talked about the weather. Most teams had to deal with that last week. Not so much fun in the rain, but really it was the lightning that delayed the games. But what a lot of the viewers don't know is we have some of our own battles that we have to overcome. You had a crazy opening night.
I sure did, and I'm certainly not complaining, but it was something that you kind of look back at and you do exactly what you did. You laugh at it. You know, the traffic going to St. Louis for that Jays game was worse than I had expected, and I guess I'll put the blame on the eclipse for that. Going to the game and leaving, and then once I got to North Callaway, that was a pile-up of cars at the gate just trying to get into the parking lot. I went to the game for a quarter. As I walk out to the parking lot, I realized that I am boxed in by 4 other vehicles.
Oh, no.
There is not a more helpless feeling in the world than that. But the fine folks at North Callaway made an announcement over the PA system during the game.
Is that right?
And within a minute or two, I was able to get out of there.
Because you had one more game to go to.
I did.
We had you busy last week.
I had to get to the Fulton Osage game
yeah.
and managed to get there, and they gave me some highlights too. So it was a crazy night and something I certainly won't forget.
And the good thing is you got from Fulton back to the station with no problems.
Right, that was the smoothest drive. Yeah, we had a little bit of some raindrops, but I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into these football Friday night shows, and some of those things you don't hear about, and sometimes they don't even tell us. But Josh got back okay. Hey, back to football. The Battle Spartans off to another strong start, winning big over Mexico on opening night. It was 68-14. Battle gets a second straight home game this week, hosting Wentzville Holt. This is a team, Josh, that gave up over 80 points last week, so I'm guessing Battle will put up some more big numbers this week.
After scoring 68 points in your season opener, which is a program record for the Spartans,
that's a bunch.
You get a team that gave up 86 the week before. No pressure or anything, but expecting the Spartans to score some more points next week. But yeah, a really good opening win for Coach Conyers, Justin Conyers, and the Spartans, and I expect them to move on to 2-0. But as I mentioned before last week, Coach Conyers likes that front defensive 7 that he has, and they played really well. They forced 10 turnovers against
amazing.
Mexico.
Really?
That's like a basketball number.
It's unbelievable. And they will be at home, of course, and you won't want to get there late to that game, will you?
That could be out of hand early.
Yeah, a lot of points probably. Our KRCG Football Friday Night Live pregame heads to Blair Oaks this week, where the Falcons are off to a 1-0 start. Blair Oaks started slow but finished strong in the second half. A big third quarter at Kirksville. The Falcons won that game 34-19. This week, Blair Oaks will host Oak Grove. We'll be live Friday night, 5 and 6 from the Falcon Athletic Complex. Other games of interest this week. The Eldon Mustangs open at home on Victor Field, taking on the Owensville Dutchmen. Eldon beat Boonville 30-15 on the road last week, while Owensville, they lost a tough one, a 4-point decision to Potosi, 38-34. The Osage Indians will play at home for the first time. Our KRCG 13 football Friday night team of the week won a thriller at Fulton last week, 32-26. Osage scored on a long drive that took up over 7 minutes, ending with a touchdown with 18 seconds left to beat Fulton. Osage will host Seneca at the lake this Friday night. Meanwhile, those Fulton Hornets, and their new head coach, Blake Logan, will look for win number 1 on the road at Versailles Friday night. The Tigers won on the home field last week, beating Knob Noster 51-30. That was a good win for Versailles. The Southern Boone Eagles are at home in Ashland, kicking off with Wright City Soboco, opening with a nail-biting win at North Callaway. That game in Kingdom City that Josh watched last Friday night, 15-12. North Callaway will take on Tipton this Friday night. Another home game for the Thunderbirds. And Tipton, by the way, comes in at 1-0. The Cardinals, with only 22 players on the roster, they open the season with a 34-20 win over St. Paul Lutheran. How about the Centralia Panthers? They'll kick off the home season hosting Clark County this week. Also home games for Moberly and Montgomery County. And the Helias Crusaders will have to wait until Saturday for Game 2 after a grand opening of the new Ray Henches Stadium in Jefferson City last Friday night. The Crusaders' first true home game in the 60-year history of the school. That ended up a loss to Hannibal, but Helias will hit the road this Saturday to play Southeast Kansas City. That is a 4 p.m. start. We'll have the highlights for you on Saturday night. The following week, Helias is back at home for our first Central Bank KRCG tailgate of the season, back at Ray Henches Stadium. Go to our high school football page at krcgtv.com for the complete list of this week's high school football schedule. And Josh, we are hoping that the lightning stays away this week and that there are no traffic problems as you head back to St. Louis.
Right, I'm back in a familiar place. Really, Football Friday night lately has been Football Friday night in St. Louis,
Yeah,
but
crazy.
It shouldn't be too bad. I hope no eclipse going on or anything out there. So
I think we've got that done with.
thankfully.
Well, we will see you at Blair Oaks Friday night 5 and 6 for a pregame preview. Then join us at 10:15 for all the scores and highlights on Football Friday night.